Good morning class, welcome to your daily current affairs on paper Hindu. So let's see with today's articles. So most awaited bill, which is your data protection bill, will be introduced in the parliament in the upcoming monsoon session. So it will be tabled in parliament in July. Government informs Supreme Court, which is hearing petitions against WhatsApp sharing users data with FB firms. So currently I think his data protection bill is awaited for a longer time. So currently this will be introduced into parliament during July, and this will protect users data. So it is all about the right to privacy of people who are using this social media platforms, right? So the union government informed the Supreme Court on Tuesday that a new law named Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2022 to enforce individual privacy in online space. So this particular bill was ready, and union government has mentioned that this particular monsoon will be introducing it. So currently, regarding this, always why this data protection bill has been introduced is data is the new fuel, and currently this data through social media is again a question of privacy. So all our information is available online. So definitely the protection of this particular data and right to privacy will come under your fundamental right to life, which is Article 21. So that was highlighted by Supreme Court during 2017 judgment, where the data needs to be protected privacy. So in that particular lines there is a continuum of this article. So let's go with that and then we'll come back. Yes. So in this data protection bill, the term data has been clearly mentioned, defined. So what is a data? A data is defined as a representation of information, facts, concepts, opinions or instructions in a manner suitable for communication, interpretation or processing by humans or by automated means. So clear definition of data has been given through this data protection bill, and the bill separately defines data fiduciary. So what is this? As persons who determined the purpose and means of processing of personal data. So for suppose take Instagram or Facebook, so they are using our data, utilizing our data. So such people who determine the purpose and meaning of usage of our personal data, and data principal as the individual to whom the personal data is related to. Suppose I am using the social media, I have posted a post, so I posted some data regarding me. So I will be the data principal. Data processor is any person who processes a personal data on behalf of data fiduciary, the middleman. So they have given each stakeholder definition. What is the data definition through this particular data protection bill? Important. Governance, cyber security. So for S&T and governance, this particular article is important. So data localization is also one of the things, highlights of this particular data protection bill. Suppose if the data is being generated here, then the data center should also be localized. That's what this particular bill suggests. That is why it has been delayed for a longer time. Let's see what happens next. So India is set to grow by 5.9% this fiscal, says IMF. So constantly this growth rate predictions has been decreasing, we can see. So now the IMF for this particular fiscal year has mentioned that Indian economy will grow by 5.9% the current fiscal year, which is 2023 to March 2024, a deep down. So it is a downward revision of 0.2 percentage points since January, and IMF estimated 6.3% of economic growth for India for the next fiscal year. That means for 2024-25 it has predicted as 6.4, and this particular fiscal year it is currently forecasting to have a growth rate of 5.4%, which is again a downward revision from earlier it used to be around 0.2% higher. So that is about this article, and there are some other private entities which have also given their own predictions, which are far more less or more it's nearer to this particular growth estimation only. Next. skipping the local news and editorials. Zelensky will be happy to speak at G20 summit in September, says minister. So the foreign minister, Ukraine's foreign minister have visited India to urge, to say that yes, we are intended to, or we wanted to speak in this summit, because so G20 we've taken the presidency this particular year, and September we'll be having a full-length summit here, and currently this foreign minister has mentioned that Ukraine's foreign minister has invited our Ajit Doval, so security officer. Yes, so what she has done, she has invited him to come to Ukraine to see the scenario there, and she has mentioned that Russia of carrying out rape and massacre of civilians. So she is mentioning that they are not following war ethics. Who? Russia. And we need India to have a balanced relationship with Ukraine and Russia. We are not against. So earlier, during our trade with Russia, so we have increased our energy dependency on Russia, because we are again trading using Indian rupee. So they have accepted our Indian rupee trade. So India has increased its energy transactions, energy trade from Russia to India. In this lines, Ukraine have mentioned clearly that India, so there is one particular line which they have mentioned earlier, that India is buying Ukrainian blood by purchasing Russian crude oil. This was the earlier statement given, and now she has again, Ukraine minister has mentioned that yes, whatever the trade that India is opting to have with Russia or any other country, it depends on its own sovereign nature. So we are not against it. However, we need a balanced relationship or a balanced foreign policy of India, and also we are open for India to discuss with Russia to stop the war. However, we will not be surrendering ourselves to Russia at any cost. That is what they have mentioned in India's media. So that is entirely about this article. So yes, she was asked to invite them to G20 summit. Entirely, if you can go through, the same will be in this article. Next. So this is again a new perspective article. Good one, important for your SNT, GS3 paper. So what does this support? We are seeing militarization of space, steady progress towards weaponization, says CDS, Chief Defense Secretary. So what he is mentioning that? He is mentioning that now, so cyber war is done, then we are weaponization of war is done, bio war, all these kind of war have been already started. It's prevalent. Now there is another updation of this war where there is a steady progress in weaponization in space. So they are trying to wage war in space arena too. So we should make ourselves equipped with that. That is what CDS has mentioned. So they are working together with DRDO. So with defense combinedly working with space. Very good article. So let's see. The very nature of warfare is on the cusp of, just a moment. Yes, the very nature of warfare is on the cusp of major transformation, and what is being witnessed is militarization of space and steady progress towards weaponization. So he is mentioning that our Chief of Defense Staff CDS, so Chief of Defense Staff CDS General Anil Chauhan has mentioned that, so we can see constant upgradation or constant increase of weapons in space. So he has mentioned that while stating the space is being used to enhance combat capabilities in land, sea and cyber domains. So what they are trying to do, they are using these satellites to identify where the particular war vehicle is available. So they are trying to track the locations. So clearly space is helping out to increase the liability in war. So to increase the affectability or the level of damage or the level of penetration of technology into war has been increasing, and here the scope is from space. That is what he has mentioned. So he mentioned that we will be increasing this, so we must expand our own mission. So what are those? Navic constellation, by providing agile space based intelligence, so introducing AI into space, surveillance and reconnaissance, and ensure secure satellite and assisted communications. So increasing satellite based communications, that is what he has mentioned. Next, so again he has mentioned one particular technology what currently other countries are opting for. So referring to the development of new kinetic weapons resulting in war in space become reality. So earlier there used to be a concept that because of the kinetic motions of these space objects we can have a real time war in space, and now it is not far from reality. It can be happening very soon. That is what he has mentioned. Right? Next. Yes, that is what they have mentioned. Rest all, we should be improving our own infrastructure, again capacity building, all these things they have mentioned. So they are together working with DRDO. So ISRO is working with DRDO. Next. So yesterday also we have seen one article on this heat wave condition. So IMD is the one which will predict different kinds of climatic weather report or weather conditions in the country. Now previously we have seen this La Nina situation where we had extreme cold wave scenarios in winter, and now we are open, or there is a huge predictability for the occurrence of El Nino. So what is this El Nino? Yesterday also I have explained, it will result a very high drastic or harsh weather conditions in India. So very hot weathers. At the same time during the Peruvian coast of North America it will witness very huge rains. So in our part if we can see, we will be witnessing very huge heat waves. So very harsh heat waves. Since 2019 India has been under the influence of converse La Nina, and therefore getting substantial rainfall. The agency faces greater emphasis on the dynamical monsoon forecast techniques instead of traditional statistical approach. So we don't need to know what is the approach that they are following about, but the thing is here the predictability of El Nino has been increased. And also yesterday we have seen one article where the average temperature of this particular monsoon is below normal, where they have mentioned that India would receive around 88 centimeters. So this is what they have mentioned of rainfall. So the predictability would be from 96% to 108% every year. This is what we have seen in yesterday's article, and also this year predictability would be around 94%, which is a 50-year average low. So 2% lower than 50-year average. This is what we have seen yesterday, and currently this article showcases that despite having that low predictability of getting 2% lower than actual normal, but they are also mentioning that it is also normal. So those still categorized. See, India's 4-year run of munificent summer monsoon rainfall is likely to end this year with IMD forecast 4% shortfall in the upcoming season. So in the upcoming season 4% will be shortfall of rainfall. However, IMD still categorized it as normal scenario. It is 96% of the average of LPA at the lowest end of what the agency categorization as normal rainfall. So most recently at April 2017 IMD forecasted 96% and India saw a 2.6% shortfall, and other private agencies see SkyMet forecast have predicted that it is below normal. So this is India's agency which is mentioning that 96% is, of course, it is a normal scenario of occurrence of monsoon. However, some private agencies like SkyMet forecasted that the monsoon will be below normal, which is around 94%. So which is a possibility of occurrence of El Nino scenarios in the country. Okay, right. Next. So yesterday we have seen again one article. This is a continuation of that Nirmala Sitharaman, our finance minister, has visited, have landed into Washington DC, where she will be going to visit this World Bank and IMF. So ahead of G20's finance ministers meeting, she visited this particular World Bank and IMF. So it is scheduled, this particular meeting. So ahead of G20's finance ministers and central bank governors, ahead of this meeting will be conducted on April 12th and April 13th. Before that she has visited. So currently what she has discussed is the debt trap or the debt issues distress in middle income countries. So she has mentioned that our bordering countries, that can be Sri Lanka or that can be Pakistan, all these countries are in the debt trap. So IMF have given loans for them recently. So 3 countries which is India's neighborhood, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, so Middle East countries, all these countries are facing debt distress. So it has urged all these World Bank and IMF to make sure that these institutions will be speeding up its work on this particular front of financial stabilization. Okay. So Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman highlighted the debt distress in the middle income countries particularly. She was glad that the multilateral institutions have speeding up their work, because for these 3 countries which are neighboring our country were issued loans from IMF. So she shown her gratitude that yes, you are working fine with that, and she has also mentioned that in the similar way there are other poor countries which are slowing its own, which are experiencing slowdown in its economy, and those countries were this Chad, Zambia, Ethiopia and Ghana to date having applied for debt restructuring through the framework. So they are also opting for debt restructuring program, which is again opting for this kind of loans, whereas China is being the major creditor for all these particular countries. So to make sure that they are entering into debt trap, so that needs to be avoided. Okay. Next, else their sovereignty or else their foreign policy will be compromised to China. Whatever China says, they need to follow. I think that's it for today. Today these explanatory articles are not important for you. So yes, so that's it for today. We'll meet in the next session. Good day. Thank you.